All right, all right, all right. welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the weekly wrap up slash pre-week analysis. I think I'm gonna do it like this from now on because on Friday, we already pretty much seen what happened according to the pre-week and mid-week analysis. And it's Friday, and I have a lot of stuff to do. Very active in my daughter's life, so Friday I'm really busy. So I think I'm gonna start doing the weekly wrap up and the pre-week analysis all together at one time. So before I jump into the pre-week analysis, let me give a quick disclaimer. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Everything that I share during this analysis is for educational purposes only. I repeat, this is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. Cool beans? Cool beans. Let's jump into it. So, looking at Ditsy to start off the week, I have a short term bullish bias to open up the week for Asian session tonight and tomorrow's London and New York sessions, right? I would like to see price pull back up into this daily, weekly inversion fair value gap, right? This tiny little gap that we see between this candle's high and this candle's low that I have outlined with this red rectangle, right? I would like to see us pull back up into there. And then I would like to see how we react to that level. If we break above that level aggressively and close above it, then I would expect us to pull back up into the premium arrays of this weekly candle. Cool beans, cool beans. If we cannot pull back above this daily buy side liquidity, first of all, and then this weekly um, inversion fair value gap, then of course, common sense would tell you that price is going lower. And our next point of interest would be this implied fair value gap that we see um, here between these two candles here, or between this candle here, right? So this implied fair value gap is the meeting of these two wicks, the halfway consequent encroachment of both of these wicks, right? So consequent encroachment of this wick, consequent encroachment of this wick. Take it and draw your rectangle from this consequent encroachment of this wick to this consequent encroachment of that wick, and you have your implied fair value gap. If you need to learn more about implied fair value gaps, go and watch ICT's lectures on implied fair value gap. You can go to his channel and just search implied fair value gap. So, that being said, that is my if this then that analysis for Ditsy to open up the week, and that is what I'm expecting overall for the weekly bias. I am bearish overall, meaning I would like to see us open up, pulling back up into a premium level of last week's price range, and then maybe Wednesday we start to curve down to the downside and see bullish price action out of Ditsy from Wednesday to week's close. That is my analysis. That is the side that I'm leaning towards for Ditsy this week. Cool beans? Cool beans. Let's look at our currency pairs. Currency, I'm looking at the opposite. I would like to see us pull back down into a discount level of this weekly range from last week's price action, right? So I expect us to pull down at least into the daily PD array levels that you see here, these black levels. If you look over here, you can see them clearly. And if we break through those aggressively and close below them, then I expect us to pull down into the weekly discount raise of last week's price range. Simple as that. If we cannot get below these levels, if we cannot even make it below these levels to begin with, then I expect Euro USD to just continue to run buy side points of interest, being this weekly buy side liquidity here, right? And potentially this weekly fair value gap that we see between this candle's low and this candle's high, right? Cool beans, cool beans. Same thing for GBP USD. Same as that thing. I'm expecting us to pull down into the daily fair value gaps. I'm sorry, daily discount or raise from last Friday's price range. And if we break and close below those aggressively, right? If we break below them aggressively and close below them, then I expect us to pull back down into the weekly PD array levels as well, right? If we cannot get below those levels, then I expect GBP USD to continue to run buy side liquidity points of interest, right? And target this weekly buy side liquidity between this candle's low and this candle's high. Easy breezy. We got a lot of high impacted news this week, guys. So it's going to be a very volatile week. So make sure you got your pistol, your strap in your hand, and make sure you ready to bust and get out the way, because they will be manipulating markets this week. So make sure you're on the right side of price with smart money and not on the wrong side with dumb money. Same thing with NZD USD. I expect us to open up bullish. I expect us to open up bearish, pulling down into the daily discount raise. And if we break below those and close below them, then I expect us to pull down to the weekly discount raise. If we cannot break the daily PD arrays to begin with, and then I expect NZD to target buy side areas of liquidity, being this weekly buy side liquidity and this weekly fair value gap between this candle's low and this candle's high. Easy breezy, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a brief one. So I hope you're keeping up. Looking at E-mini S&P 500 futures, I expect us to open up bearish, pulling down into the daily PD arrays, and possibly the weekly PD arrays. But just like with currencies, if we cannot break below the daily PD arrays to begin with, right, then I expect us to push to target buy side areas of buy side liquidity, right? In this weekly fair value gap between this candle's low and this candle's high. This level here, let me see what those levels are. Let me go down to the daily time frame right quick. I think it's a daily fair value gap that we just broke above. Yes. This daily fair value gap here that we broke above last week, right? Broke above it and closed above it last Thursday, and continue to hold above it for Friday's closing. If we can't even break back below those levels, then what does that tell you? What is price telling you? It's telling you that it's unwilling to go lower, and it has further upside liquidity to run before going lower. What would be our areas of interest? This buy side liquidity here. These fairly equal highs here. Buy side liquidity here. And finally, this daily volume imbalance here, right? So that's what I'm expecting out of futures going forward this week, right? NZD USD, same thing. I expect us to open up bearish, pulling down into the daily and weekly discount rate levels. However, break in, if we cannot reach those levels to retest those levels, then that's price telling you that it's unwilling to go lower and that it has further upside liquidity to run before going lower. And my eyes is on this little tiny small daily volume imbalance that we see here around 1625. I would say, yeah, around 1625. So, well, let me 16,125. Okay. So that's what I have my eye set on for NQ. E meaning NASDAQ 100 futures, right? But my bias to begin the week is to see futures open up bearish, pulling down into discount array levels, right? But my overall bias for the entire week is bullish for futures. And that will do it, ladies and gentlemen. I told you it was going to be a brief one. So take your time, look at my chart, look at the levels. All my levels are over here, and all of them are already titled. And go back and watch this as many times as you would like to. So, as always, if these reviews are adding any value to your trading journey, please feel free to like, share, and most of all, subscribe. It really helps out a lot. I really appreciate you guys tuning in to these calls, engaging my content. I really appreciate that a lot. So, as always, thank you guys for tuning in, coming out to get this knowledge and empowering yourselves. Let your family and friends know you love them while they still here. Please. And as always, peace and love, everybody. You know